Hello. Hello, this is the GRcade Twitchcast. I am here today with the Doom Spoon.
Hey, hey.
It has been ages. It has been ages. It's nice to see you back. Hopefully, it's been too long, man.
Hasn't been any time this year, is it? I think it must have been about last year, surely.
Oh, I don't know. It was the beginning of the year. It was the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't done it. Oh no, that's a lie. I think I may have done one. I've done one since Millie's been born. So since February, I've done one.
You've done at least one. Ah, well, that's shit. You need to do more. People keep saying, "When's Doom coming back? He's the only Welsh guy I like," and it's like, "Oh, thanks." Anyway,
well, it's nice to be missed.
Yeah, well, people have missed you, man. Genuinely. Not me, of course, but other people have. So have you been? I was the wife and child.
Yeah, good. Okay. Steep learning curve. But yeah, it's good. Been going well. She's 8.5 months now, and the baby, obviously, not the wife.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's been going well. There's been some steep learning curves, but we've come out of them, and yeah, things are pretty good at the moment. So we've got the routines going, and yeah, things are falling into place quite nicely, actually. So how about you? How things have been with you, anyway?
My mic was muted. God damn it. My missus walked past and just like pointed at the mic, and I was like, "What?" But yeah, no, everything's all right. Not much have really gone on. All the kids are back in school, even though the times are all wonky now, and it makes things a little bit more awkward. Other than that, everything's pretty good. Like,
Cool. How have
fortunately.
Obviously not that we want to dwell on the negative stuff, but how have you coped through the recent events of the last 6 months?
Oh, how have we coped? Oh, we haven't been too bad, to be honest. Like, don't get me wrong, it can be a little bit, bit of a pain in the ass with certain things, but it hasn't been too bad, simply because, like, I don't know, it just hasn't been too bad. Like, the missus have gone back for the shops more often than I have, and, well, the kids have end up staying in and just playing games and board games and doing their schoolwork in the house, which was actually a little bit more difficult than I expected, because I thought it wouldn't be too bad just teaching them the stuff the teachers give us. But when you've got 4 kids and all 4 of them are on very different work, it's kind of like, yeah. But otherwise, it hasn't been too bad. It's been alright.
Good.
Could have been worse.
Yeah, it's been an experience.
Yeah, to say the least. What about yourself? Things gone well? Been alright, like?
Yeah, things have been okay. Again, I think with Millie being the age that she is, it means that it's not like you'd be going out and doing loads. Do you know what I mean? It's not like she'd be going out and playing, or she's not in school or nurseries or anything. So like, I don't think we've. I don't think it definitely hasn't affected us as badly as if you had toddlers or like older children. Do you know what I mean? It has been frustrating because as Millie's gotten older and she's 3, 4, 5, 6 months onwards, we've been restricted as to the experiences we've been able to give her, and she only had like real proper access to like the grandparents only in the last couple of months, really, as the lockdown started to ease. So there's been certain things that have been a bit disappointing, but overall it's been pretty good. We've just kind of made the most of what we can do, and when we have an opportunity to kind of take her somewhere, we do it to give her that experience. So
Yeah.
so
No,
yeah,
that's understandable.
yeah.
I think it's the good thing because obviously you have been limited in what you do, but it's at least it's not like your kids are used to going to the park every weekend or
Exactly.
just playing with their friends through the week or something. So that's one thing you haven't had to be like, no, you can't. You have to stay in. The thing is, where I am now, I think we've gone back into lockdown. Like I think Wales have gone back into lockdown anyway, but we were already in lockdown anyway. in
Yeah.
oh
Well, it was ironic actually. Up until recently, every county in Wales was in lockdown, apart from where I live in the Vale. But because all the counties around us were in lockdown, we were by default we couldn't go anywhere anyway. So they almost didn't need to put us in lockdown because we literally couldn't leave anyway. If you see what I mean. So,
yeah.
but yeah, no, it's just it is what it is, isn't it? And you just got to try and muddle through. I mean, my one saving grace is that I have been able to continue working as per normal with the type of job I do. So as a result of that, my sanity has been saved because I think I'd be climbing the walls if I was off for, like a lot of my wife's colleagues and that, they had 6 months off, and at first obviously everyone thought, oh great, this is a holiday and we're getting paid, but definitely towards the end, like I know there was quite a few people that were really struggling, and they were, kind of almost lost their purpose in a way, and yeah, people were climbing the walls towards the end, and I'm glad I haven't had to go through that. Things have literally just gone on as normal, apart from obviously being able to go out as freely as we would like, but yeah, it is what it is, and as long as we stick to the rules, hopefully, eventually, one day, we'll be able to go out and frolic with other people.
I thought you were going to say the sheep. But the other people will do.
Yes.
Frolic with the sheep. I've been through a few topics with people in the over the last 1 or 2 times we've talked about the Xbox S and X series. So I was gonna and the PlayStation 5, but because I haven't spoke to you in ages, I was gonna see what your thoughts are. Do you have any thoughts? We'll start with the PlayStation 5 because that revealed the games first, I think.
Yeah.
Recently.
Yes, I believe it is. Yeah. No, I think Xbox kind of revealed stuff first, but yeah, I think PlayStation revealed their kind of
I
their
thought the
release
Xbox
lineup.
the Xbox revealed itself first, but games were revealed first for the PlayStation 5.
Yes, that's it.
I can't remember exactly. I'll start there because I assume you'll probably have more to say about the X series or S series.
Yeah. Well, I first remember when they kind of showed us pictures of what the PlayStation 5 looked like, and I thought it looked absolutely hideous, and the jokes obviously going around about it looking like a Wi-Fi router, and
Does.
my I think the design has grown on a lot of people. I'm not in that group. I still think it looks hideous as all hell. I think the color, the white and the black, they've got that all wrong. I don't think it looks very nice at all. But putting that aside,
I'm sure I saw something one of the internet memes was like it was a different console giving birth to another console.
You know what? I get that. I totally see that. I can see where they're coming from there. But yeah, I mean, it's a tricky one because until the consoles are actually out and we see performances and we see, and you've actually physically got them to compare with each other, it is very difficult. But I honestly try and distance myself a little bit from too much about what's going on with the consoles because when we've got kind of the dawn of a new generation, it always seems to bring out the it always brings out the.
Sorry, I didn't mean to use that word. I meant to say massive scum.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, it brings out the worst type of people, as in the
Loud fanboys.
yeah, the real toxic fanboys and the like the gatekeepers, and it seems to bring them all out. And so just to avoid frustration, I try not to look too far into things. But
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day,
One thing, a good thing about GRcade, you don't notice that much. I noticed that more on like
No.
Twitter and stuff.
Twitter and Facebook
When I went on
are
Twitter,
horrendous.
Jesus Christ, it was
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was really like, and on Facebook is really bad. I'm a part of a few like gaming groups, and I follow certain gaming pages, and yeah, it's just like, no, you can't make a joke. Like, some people post like a gaming meme up, and like the one that since it was announced that Microsoft bought Bethesda, the one that's going out is like PS5 can it's confirmed PS5 players will be able to play Elder Scrolls 6. All they've got to do is buy an Xbox, and that's the meme going around. And like the amount of people that cannot take a joke, and then it just turns into like schoolyard like pettiness.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's bad. But going back to the kind of the subject at hand, PS5. I mean, you can't. There's absolutely no denying that they're coming out the blocks hard with their games. You know, I think they got again. You know, they got a very strong lineup of games that are coming out day one, and that that they've announced for
The
early
launch
2021.
window, is it? As they now call it. It never used to be a launch. Before it used to just be launch, and now it's launch window.
Yeah, because they probably can't guarantee certain things. The thing I found really interesting about the whole thing is Sony seemed to be very, very evasive when they were talking about backwards compatibility. They did, like, when they first announced all those games that were coming out. They were like, they said pretty much, they basically didn't say anything. As far as I remember, they said absolutely nothing about backwards compatibility, and then it kind of leaked out like a week or so after that actually, like, a lot of these games, in fact I think all of them, will actually be coming up for the PS4, or there was something like that, and there was a big uproar and all this and that, because then people started asking the question, well, why do I need to buy a PS5 if there's no actual games that are exclusive for the PS5? And
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? That was all happening in that. And obviously there was the weird one as well with Spider-Man. Like, it was really complicated. I don't know if you remember or if you've seen this. It was like, if you've currently got the PS4 version of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I gotta try and remember this. I'll probably butcher this. I'll probably get this wrong, but I'll get the gist of it. So if you've got the PS4 version of Spider-Man, you have to buy. If you buy a PS5, you have to buy the game again to get the PS5 version. There's no upgrade. There's no. Do you know what I mean? It's not like with Xbox are doing smart delivery with a lot of their games. PlayStation, it was no. You just had to buy the game again. But if you didn't do that, and you bought I guess this is essentially the deluxe edition, which they've recently released, or will be recently, like they recently released, which is the Spider-Man game plus like DLC. That game, obviously, you've still got to buy the game again if you've bought it previously, but as a result, you get to buy that, you get the DLC with it, and you get the free upgrade to the PS5 version when the PS5 released. It was really complicated. Like, it shat on a lot of people because they were stuck in a catch-22. For people who have never played Spider-Man, that was fine because they could buy the deluxe version or the Miles Morales edition, whatever they called it.
I know. If you just buy the PlayStation 5 Special Edition, you get the PlayStation 4 5 remaster of Spider-Man. So
Yes.
to also upgrade it as well. It just sounds like a faff, doesn't it?
That's what I mean. There was a big faff. So, we all know what it's like. Is that they make these big bold claims, and but it's kind of it's what these
always
companies
been
don't
the
say.
same though. If you
Yeah.
like a lot of games are cross-platform from launch. A lot of big because at the end of I said this like about the Xbox, well, because a lot of the games on there are going to run on the Xbox One, as well as the X series and S series. And as I said, they're not going to make a lot of companies are not going to make a game which will exclude 1 million or 100 million people chances of sales. So it makes sense. Cummerdane says Demon Souls remake is PS5 only in it, with a question mark. Yes, I believe it is. It is coming to PC, but I think it's one of the PlayStation 5 exclusives, which won't be coming to PS4. Like, not every game is going to be crossplay, but not crossplay, multi-plat, cross-gen, I want to say.
I guess,
You'll have, I think it's Horizon Forbidden West, or whatever it's called. Spider-Man Miles Morales is going to be on the PS4 as well. And a few other games that I can't remember right now. I did have a list of them before, but there you go. That was before.
It's all good. But yeah, so what I find with these kind of announcements and that is, it's all well and good what they tell you and what they announce and all this and that, but it's what they don't say, if you see what I mean. It's the interesting bit. And as I said, it was with Sony. They were very, very quiet about what they're doing for cross-gen support and all this and that. And it was only after they had done their announcements is when it's when it all kind of came out. And
so well, that's the thing. It's like I think
Sony
messy. Have been fairly recently like complimented for the games and stuff, but I'm pretty sure, like generally speaking, they have like a lot of people have been criticizing the way they've been going about things. Because I think a lot of people see Sony are being the cocky selves again, so to speak. Which, like, when with the PlayStation 3, bit them in the ass because that's the way people saw them, as they've been really cocky and up their own asses. And while they did come out on top in the end, I think that was a lot down to the simple fact that, like, in Japan, the Xbox doesn't sell. And on top of that, Microsoft fucked up, like, halfway through the generation by trying to appeal too much to the Wii crowd, in my opinion. Like, the casual Wii crowd, not that, like, everyone who had a Wii was a fucking 90-year-old granny. I had a Wii. I'm only in my 30s. And I'm a man, not a granny, so there you go.
Exactly. Like, if you look at there's a general pattern that happens, and let's just consider Microsoft and Sony, since those two have been butting heads. Like, obviously the PS2 was so unbelievably successful. They went into, like you said, that PS3 launch overly cocky, and the price tag was massive. Was it $600? It was a ridiculous price tag, whatever it was they went in with, and ultimately, like you said, eventually they kind of caught up towards the end. But when it actually mattered, they lost out, if you know what I mean, if you want to put it that way. To the Xbox, which wasn't so cocky, but then because the Xbox was so popular, 360 was so popular, they went in too cocky with the Xbox One, and it didn't help that I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy who was in charge of Xbox at the time before Phil Spencer, like that one damning thing he said. Remember that interview? It was like after the E3 announcement. He basically said, if you don't have an internet connection, just buy a 360. That, you know. It was like,
to be fair, a lot of stuff when the Xbox One was announced, they fucked. Like, a lot of people complained because it was so underpowered. Like, even the PS4 was underpowered. A lot of people complained about when it came out. The issue then was how they kept, like, the PlayStation, like the 360 was launched. Yeah, this is a great console. And the Xbox One was launched as obviously a games console, but there was so much focus on sport and TV in the original E3 announcement. And that just fucked things because it was obvious what they were doing. They were trying to say, like, this is a console for you to integrate into everything. It's one console. And I expect that's why they went with the name Xbox One, because it's just one platform which integrates everything together. But at the same time, it's not what people wanted.
No, exactly. Like, exactly. As I said, it just comes down to the fact that Microsoft really, really fucked up. Because they were too cocky with 360, but if you kind of look at the situation now, like, obviously until the sales come out, it's going to be very difficult. But Sony have seemed to have started coming into this generation a little cocky, and it has been backfiring on them. And Microsoft have been building on what they've wanted to do for the last few years. I mean, Game Pass came out a couple of years ago, and so Microsoft really, they've lost this battle like heavily. It's not even close. I mean, the Xbox has sold like 40 million units or something like that. PS4 is like 100 million or something, 90 million, whatever it is. It's not even close.
Yeah.
So Microsoft have had to adapt, and they've had to move forward. So they're playing the long game with their Game Pass Ultimate, and kind of putting all the systems in place ready. And they've been very what's the word, like they've been very like customer friendly, if you know what I mean. They've made no digs at anyone. They've been very like, on the face of it anyway, they've appeared to look very respectful towards Sony, and like they're definitely trying to play the, where one of you guys type of deals, like, like, this company is run by gamers, so we'll talk to you like another gamer. It's that kind of deal, like. So I do think Sony have come into this a little cocky. Yes, they've got a strong lineup. No, I think the thing looks fucking hideous, the console.
Yeah, I also thought the pad looked rank, but I was watching. I was like, I thought it looked awful in the trailer and stuff. But I saw someone on Twitch playing with the pad, like using the pad to play a game, and it actually looked a lot nicer in hand, if that makes sense. I was like, oh, it's actually not as nasty as I thought.
Yeah, I think it's probably the angle. Like, the pictures that we've seen basically have been face on angles, and the color, it looks ugly as sin from just head on. But like you said, maybe when you see it in the flesh, or you've seen it at the different angles and how it's used. And just out of interest, like, they announced that this controller has got locking triggers. So if in your game, if your gun jams or whatever, the trigger will jam. Like, is that a selling point for you personally, or
it's not a selling point, but I think it's a cool little feature. Like, I know it's supposed to have haptic feedback as well. So, like, if you're pulling on a bow, the tighter that you pull the bow, obviously, the more taut it's going to get, and the more pressure you're going to feel in the trigger of you pulling on it. Like, so it'll feel like a finger in a bow. Maybe I want to rephrase that. You know what I mean? There's some cool features on there, and the games lineup looks good. Like, it showed some Resi 8 that looked really cool. But again, the problem is, I think with the Xbox stuff as well, a lot of it was like CGI stuff, except for Halo. But a lot of stuff that was shown was CGI. So while it looks pretty cool, it's like, how much is this going to be? How true to life is it going to be? How is it going to look, and how is it going to play? But it's all meant. A lot of the stuff was meant to be recorded directly from the consoles, I think. So I don't know.
It's going to be a very interesting one, and I think it's very easy as well to get het up on numbers, and if you look at, I can't remember the exact numbers. I think it's like if you look at like the amount of power they're pushing, is like the PS5 is doing like 9 teraflops, the Xbox Series X is doing 12, the Series S is doing 4. The Xbox
I don't understand how it's so low, because I thought the Xbox One X was doing 6.
Yeah, so I actually looked into this, and it's essentially to do with the to cut a very, very long article short, basically they had to cram all that. The reason why the Xbox One X is so unbelievably powerful for what it's trying to do. I mean, it's only trying to do 4K at 30, and sometimes at 60, like at best. Like really, the if you were to build a PC with similar powered specs as the Xbox One X, you'd be easily probably pushing 4K, easily at 60. But the problem with the Xbox One X is it still had to use the original CPU that the original Xbox One used, which is a massive bottleneck because it's not a good CPU. It's an incredibly weak CPU. So in order for them to get 4K at a solid 30 and sometimes 60 out of that CPU, they had to pump that GPU with as many steroids as they could basically find. So that's the only reason why it's so powerful. It's basically
they're pumping the GPU with steroids because it seems like the CPU's been on horse tranquilizers.
Basically, it's exactly what's happened. So it's not. It's the One X is really not a very efficient console. In fact, it's
inefficient.
I mean, it's very inefficient. It's a blunt object. It's a sledgehammer. That's basically what that thing is. Where if you look at the Series S, it's only got 4 teraflops, but crucially, it's got the same CPU as with a slightly different clock speed as the Series X. So it's got loads of headroom for power. It's running a solid. It's running a custom solid state drive with what's it called? Obviously, it's got the ray tracing in it, but it's also got I can't remember what it's called. It's basically got a custom SSD, which everything is like lightning quick. So the console really doesn't have to push particularly hard. It doesn't need all that excess power because it's got a CPU that is capable. So it's got a hard drive which is capable. Everything about it is finely tuned, and it's very it's a precision tool. If you consider the two, the One X is a sledgehammer, and the Series S is a scalpel, if you want to put it that way. Do you know what I mean? It's a precision tool.
Well, that's the thing with the PlayStation 5. It's meant to have like a really good SSD. Supposed to be fucking top of the range, fucking super sexy thing, but I wouldn't know.
Yeah, like the thing is, and it's this. It almost gets the same. It gets the same with phones as well in terms of. It's all well and good. All these numbers coming up to teraflops, this and the SSDs that, and all of that. Realistically, unless you're that anal where you can set up 2 separate TVs, you've got both consoles next to each other, and you do everything like exactly the same time, and you're there with a stopwatch, and you're ultra quick, and you get it super accurate. In real world results, like the PS5 might have a better SSD than the Series X and the Series S, but real world results, it's not. There might be a second difference maybe between loading times.
So I don't know.
If we just guess, let's just say it's a second. Like nobody will see that extra second. It's not life changing. Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's still the consoles are still running mechanical hard drives, and the PS5 has then got the SSD. That's different. But this is a very
I don't know. I think like the thing the PlayStation 5 is meant to be able to do is load assets a lot faster in game. So like in like say a Gears of War, where you're running and you'll have loads of popping. That isn't meant to happen on the PlayStation 5 at all. Whether that will actually be true is completely different to what But that is meant to be what it's like. But again,
we haven't really heard much about the Series X's drives either. So
no.
When you compare the two, like maybe the assets will pop like milliseconds quicker, and do you know what I mean? If you want to be super technical, then the PS4 probably does have a better solid state, but real world results, sorry, PS5.
Yeah, no, I get it.
But with real world results, you probably won't see much of a difference at all. That's my opinion, at least. Anyway, I think it's going to be the case. But at the end of the day, they've got to have their selling points, and if Sony want to push that they've got the best solid state, by all means, that's their selling point.
Yeah.
Xbox Series X is the most powerful console has ever been made. That's at the end of the day, they've got to sell the console. They've got to have selling points, and they've just chosen their particular selling points. Do you know what I mean?
Basically, you're gonna have the SNES versus the Mega Drive again, where the SNES was more powerful in every respect.
Yeah.
Except for, I think, the Mega Drive had a fast processor. So the whole thing was a blast processing. So Sony will be like, "Hey, we have blast processing." That'd be funny, wouldn't it?
But yeah, so yeah, this whole the whole situation. I think, to be honest, I just hope both launches go well. I hope both consoles sell fucking tons. I hope both companies make plenty of money, and I hope that encourages them to keep pushing forward and keep developing and keep making things bigger and better. I don't care who wins the fight or what, as long as both do well. That's the kind of the kicker for me. Do you know what I mean?
No, I can get behind that. At the end of the day, I think if one of the companies was to piss off, then I think it would stifle creativity, because competitiveness does breed, creativity in a lot of things.
And Nintendo, and they don't get they're not getting involved with what Sony and Microsoft are doing their thing. Nintendo are doing their own thing, and so it you can't even and I don't mean this to sound like as a like I'm kissing Nintendo's ass, but I mean it in the sense that it's basically impossible to compete with Nintendo as much as it is Nintendo to compete with Microsoft and Sony, because they're just doing so different. Like, imagine Sony suddenly going, right, let's compete with Nintendo, let's compete with the Switch. Like, Nintendo were the masters at doing what they do, and Sony already tried that twice, and yes, although it did sell well, it got absolutely obliterated by the DS and the 3DS. So I think it's like that. Sony have figured out for themselves. Nintendo just do their own thing. There's no point in competing with them. Let them do the Switch. Let them do hybrid. Let them do handhelds. That's what they can do. Sony have got. Let them focus with Xbox, and I think it's the same with Microsoft and Xbox. Is do they really want to compete with Nintendo, who know what they do so well? So if Sony or Microsoft was to leave the market, it would be like you said. Apart from that, it would stifle. It would be such a weird. It'd be a really weird market, because you would have rival companies. You'd still have Nintendo, and you'd still have Sony or Microsoft, or whichever one's available. But they wouldn't. It's weird, but they wouldn't be competing because of how different they do things. Unless one of them did say, right, let's have a go. Do you know what I mean? But I don't see that's ever never in a million years do I ever think Nintendo is suddenly going to think, you know what? Let's make this a 3-horse race. Let's get in the power game, and let's make a console as more powerful than the. Do you know what I mean? It's not there. It's never going to happen, is it?
No. See, the thing is Nintendo used to do.
Ironically, Nintendo used to do power.
Yeah, the GameCube was more powerful than the PlayStation. Ooh.
Yeah. GameCube was more powerful than PlayStation and the Dreamcast. Obviously, the Xbox was ridiculous.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like they
the
went
Nintendo
on a
64
different route.
The 64 for its time was unbelievably powerful. Have you seen? Just to put things in perspective, have you seen how big those heat sinks are in an N64?
No.
They are. I'm not kidding. They are massive. Like, basically, I'd say about 70% of the weight of the N64 is pure heat sink. When you take that plastic cover off, I'm not kidding. It's just a solid block of aluminium in there to keep it cool, because that console at its time, like the N64, was so unbelievably powerful for the time, and the only way they could cool it is by putting basically a massive chunk of aluminium on top of it, and that chunk of aluminium encases the whole top of the of the system. It was ridiculous. So yeah, you know, like they used to do power, but they
Stopped.
they changed tack big time.
They changed tactic and decided to release the GameCube in a box with a Wii remote. The Wii was pretty much a GameCube, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, actually, it literally was a GameCube. Like, but they were doing the same resolution pretty much. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
because the
they
GameCubes
ran
in
the same
America
game.
and Japan would be able to do like 80 or whatever it was, and then
Yeah.
Well, so is there any of the games that were shown for the PlayStation 5 you're interested in?
Not really. Sony have got their particular style of game, and it's never really appealed to me. There's nothing. I'm trying to think. There's nothing I've been really jealous of throughout the PS4, and it's the same. Like looking at the PS5 games, like there's no games that I've been really particularly jealous of. If you know what I mean, it's just kind of like, oh, that's cool. That's cool that they've got that. Oh, God of War looks awesome. Spider-Man looks awesome. Horizon looks awesome. But those games, as cool as they are, and if I had the opportunity to play it, I probably would. But knowing me and knowing the type of games that I play, especially with time restricted for one, because of family and stuff, I say realization, like it really has been a realization since Millie's been born, is that it's how I play games and the type of games I play and kind of have moved to, and like the games that require massive investments but are still story driven, or that are very open worlds and you can get lost in the world and that I physically don't have time for those games anymore. I like a game that I can sink hours into, but I like games that are super open-ended. I can't get lost. There's basically no, like when I say no story, as in like I'm happy just getting on with the grind. That's why games like Stardew Valley do so well for me, because I can not play that game for like 6 months, come back into it, and I can pick it up and I will enjoy it just the same. I won't be lost. It'll take me maybe 5-10 minutes to just remember the last thing I did, but other than that, like if I like Breath of the Wild, for instance, like if I try and go back to that, I've put about 50 hours into that, so I haven't finished the game. I'd like to finish, but I would be so lost, and the mechanics and everything about it, I'd be so lost that
the good thing about Breath of the Wild is you could just do the 4 beasts and then fight Ganon. You did it, like there is story stuff and there are things you can collect to like improve your survivability. You could just do them and they are fucking noticeable enough for you to just go to those areas, which is good in a way, but the issue is like you're gonna feel like you missed out on loads, I guess, like because it's such an open world game.
And
but at the same
really got to match the mechanics of the game, and that would take me so long to get back into that groove, and so it's like, honestly, I do plan to play Breath of, but I'm gonna restart. I'm just gonna restart and I'm playing from the beginning and hope that I get through to the end. It's time for me. Like I've got to be very smart with my time now, and so games that like, to some people it sounds like absolute sacrilege saying games that don't have a story are great for me, but they are, because
nothing wrong with games with no story. Like games games have story. Like even simple games like Stardew Valley have a story. You get a farm given to you, and you have a farm, and you die. But the point, the point is it's like there's just depth of story. Like I've recently been playing through Control, fucking brilliant. Like the story is pretty simple, but if you go around the locations, you can pick up loads of files, videos, audio cassettes, and shit like that. And it's so much lore in there that if you wanted to ignore it, you could and just crack on with the story. but some of the best bits have been in the lore.
Yeah.
Fucking really cool. And some of the videos, I think my favorite, one of my favorite videos in there, I've only found 4 episodes of it. It's called The Threshold Kids, and it's these really fucking creepy old school puppets.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing. So like, I get what you're saying about that, and the thing is a lot of people nowadays like open world stuff, and a lot of games seem to go more and more open world. And I'm happy enough playing through a fucking nice linear game without any open world nature to it, because I find it like, I don't know, when I'm playing a big open world game, a lot of the time I find it aimless, directionless.
Yeah.
And I just get bored after a while.
Yeah.
Or I'll just go, right,
the...
I've seen some of the world now. Let's just crack on with the story, and then I'll miss most of it anyway.
Yeah, like and ironically, it's kind of the same. It, like taking Stardew Valley for an example, in its own weird way, it works for those type of games as well, in terms of yes, it's I say it's I mean it's open world. It's not, it's open world RPG essentially, but it's but it's designed in such a way that you can do you know what I mean? If you want to play for 10 minutes, you can. If you want to play for 10 hours, you can. Do you know what I mean? It's even like you said, with some of these open world games, or these games that are very non-linear, they can feel very empty, and they can feel very almost pointless in a lot of its kind of what you're doing. I think games like Ubisoft have been criticized big time for that, have they? With was it Tom Clancy's? Was it Wildlands, or the one that was after it? I can't remember. But those games where they're massive open worlds, but essentially you just Breakpoint. That's it. But the worlds are very empty and very simple, but
I think the issue a lot of people had with Ubisoft open world is, like, even though the games were different, the worlds were the same kind of thing. You have to climb a tower to unlock a bit more of the map, and I think they did start changing that up a bit, and I think they've started changing some things, but at the same time, I don't know, they just seem a bit half-arsed in some things.
Comes across that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the problem. It's like they've got this set formula, and while I'm really happy with PlayStation exclusives, like, they have got a wide variety of exclusives, but the biggest ones, the ones they promote more, the ones that get the most exposure, are of a certain type of game. And it's understandable, that's clearly the audience that are buying the games. But like, you compare something like fucking Spider-Man and God of War and Horizon and Last of Us. Like, obviously Last of Us is an open world game, but they all have this same kind of really narrative driven story stuff. And then you have games like Dreams. They don't really do much with Dreams, but that game there is like so far removed from the norm of Sony's first party titles, and it's a shame they don't really give it the same kind of love. So
but like I say, they've identified the audience that they want to target when it comes to selling, and that's the audience, isn't it? Is the ones that appeal to those type of games, but yeah, like the point I was making with Stardew Valley is it's a non-linear game, but it's a game that never feels empty. Like the jobs the jobs you do around the farm they feel productive, as much as it for me anyway. I mean, obviously it's all subjective, but unlike say Breakpoint or the Assassin's Creed games, they become grindy eventually. You do the same shit in every single area, so eventually it just simply becomes a grind, and nothing more. Somehow, like games like Stardew Valley, and there are more games that come out like that. Spiritfarer is another one actually, which is absolutely. Can I just take this moment to say Spiritfarer is one of the most beautiful games ever, and I'm in both its concept as well as its visuals. It is stunning in every way. I just want to put that one out there. But again, like, yes, it's that you're doing repetitive tasks, but you're doing it, but it makes sense, if you know what I mean. It's not like if you're like no time in a million years, like at what point realistically, if you know, all right, games don't have to be real, I get that, but they have to make sense, and they have to make sense, like, for what they're meant to be doing. And like, I'm picking on Assassin's Creed. I like the Assassin's Creed games, but I'm never going to finish one. I put 40 hours into Odyssey. It's a stunning game, and I love playing it, but I've got to the point now where I lose interest in it so quickly. I'll be like, oh yeah, let's play it again. Let's get, like, continue on. And it is one of those games that you can kind of pick up, and it doesn't take me long to figure out the controls. But by the time I've done one fort and I've killed 4 people in the same way, like, at medium, like, oh yeah, and I won't touch it for another few months. Do you know what I mean? There's no, like, if you're playing as an assassin, it's too limited in what you can do. Like, if you want to imagine yourself in that position, if you want to put it that way, if you want to live, you know, if you want to immerse yourself in that, it's difficult to immerse yourself when it's a copy and paste job for every single area. There's no challenge, if you know what I mean. Is that once you've figured out how to kill one type of enemy do you know what I mean? Or one type of enemy, there might be 3 different ways to kill them. Once you figured out those 3 ways, it's copy and paste for every single person on that entire map. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But games like Stardew Valley, Spiritfarer, I'm trying to think of other ones off the top of my head. Story of Seasons, the new one that's just come out. Like, yes, they're repetitive. Yes, you're doing the same tasks over and over again, but you're doing it for the point of doing them. Like, that makes sense. You get up in the morning, you do your crops, you do your watering, you do this, but you get results from it. You get results that make sense from it. You get your crops that grow, you harvest your crops, you gain something from doing those repetitive tasks, rather than a game like I said with Assassin's Creed. You do these tasks over and over again, but it's not. I don't want to say realistic, because I don't want to make out as if they're trying to be realistic. But do you see what I mean? The payoff for what you're doing isn't worth it. If you see what I mean. Well, for me anyway, it's not worth it. That makes sense?
Yeah. I was a massive fan of the Assassin's Creed games up until Unity. I played all of them, and usually around launch. But then I just stopped playing them.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
but like the older Assassin's Creed games are supposed to be different to Origins and Odyssey. Origins and Odysseys are meant to be more RPG focused and more like Witcher than the other ones.
Yeah, it's definitely a reboot for the series, but I've put a similar amount of hours into Black Flag as I have with Odyssey. Obviously, Black Flag uses the original formula, and Odyssey uses the new formula. I've put a similar amount of hours into both of them, and as much as I still haven't finished Black Flag, because I kept getting distracted in that. But the point being is, the variety in what I had to do was like, I actually looked forward to progressing in the story, because like the situation, like every situation felt different. All the tasks you had to do to progress.
I think one thing about the Assassin's Creed games, as we talked about them, is a lot of the enjoyment for people comes down to the protagonists. Like, a lot of people weren't a big fan of Altair, even though Altair actually has a kind of a good, like, little arc, similar to Ezio's. And people loved Ezio. People also loved Edward Kenway from the 4th game as well, Black Flag. And I like Edward Kenway, but like in Assassin's Creed Key Hatham, I think, which is in there, his son Connor You start off as Hatham, you play him for a bit, and then it turns out he's actually not an assassin, and you play as his son. And like everyone really liked playing as Hatham, and then when they go to con, they're like, I don't like this guy. He's got the personality of like a fucking board. You know what I mean? Yeah. Cumberdine said, I'm not a great lover of open world games, but when I play a good one, chef's kiss, I'm not doing that. Well, I platinum Ghost of Tsushima and loved every minute of it. I haven't played that, but that does look fucking awesome.
What are you saying? That's PS4 only.
Yeah.
Yes,
It's made by Sucker Punch, which is the people who made Infamous, and Infamous 2, and Infamous Second Son. And I really like again, open world games, but I really enjoyed them. I think one thing that could make an open world game more enjoyable is the traversal. Like, those games are fun to go around in. I'm not sure about Ghost of Tsushima, but like getting around in yeah, I haven't played Sly Cooper, so I didn't mention that. But it's like traverse gonna be fun. Like the Dragon Ball Z Kakarot game that I recently played. Yeah. Like you can fly around in it. It's fun just flying around. So I sometimes like the traversal. Sunset Overdrive's another one which was made by the people who did Spider-Man. Like the traversal in that game is brilliant, and same with Spider-Man. The traversal is brilliant. And I think that can add to it. Like the typical like GTAs and stuff where it's just driving around, it's kind of boring to me. Like Saints Row is a similar kind of thing in 2 and 3 at least, but they were enjoyable because one, I played them in co-op, and two, they fucking hilarious. Like Saints Row 4 is like Crackdown but better, and Crackdown's like awesome anyway because it's basically a big open fucking world where you do platforming and stuff, kind of like like people like Mario 64 for being kind of open worldy, and yet Crackdown's even more open worldy, so they should enjoy more, and you get to shoot your enemies instead of jumping on their heads. But yeah,
it all depends really how the open world is done really, and I guess to an extent it's how you perceive what an open world is. Like for me, like for instance, would you class I guess it is, but to some people I'm sure it might not be. Would you class Pokemon as an open world game? I guess it is. You're free to traverse, but you are guided by a task that you need to do, and as you so you can go wherever.
I don't know, like Pokemon kind of gated off. Like it like if you go through all the games, you have to follow like a set route. You go through certain routes, and it's very rare you can diverge from the path. Sometimes you're able to go off the beaten path and find cool stuff, but like a lot of linear games do that anyway. I think the more open world one is Sword and Shield, but even then you're gated by certain Pokemon at a higher level, so you're gonna struggle or not pass these places. So it's like
after completed the game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, just go where you want. Yeah. But it's just very different to something like Breath of the Wild, where you just walk around anyway.
You know, it's about as open world as you could possibly get in terms of like you can go literally anywhere at any time with no.
But like even older open world games are like GTA 3. I think I'm trying to think of GTA 3. I think it was like, and GTA 1 and maybe 2. Like in GTA 1, I think you were in like America, and I'm not sure if this is right or not, but like Liberty City was one of the places, and then there was 2 other places on the map. When you'd finished doing what you needed to then move to the next location, you could. But like I think in GTA 3, you would like unlock a bridge that would let you go into like a bigger, newer area, and then you could traverse it. So it's like even open world games sometimes are gated, but like I think something like that is definitely something I would class as like an open world sandbox. In comparison to Pokemon, where you're very much stuck to a certain path for the majority of the game, whereas in like GTA you can literally go anywhere you want.
I think you've just hit the nail on the head there. I think the term open world and sandbox get interchanged very often, but actually they 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 are completely different things. Like as you said, like I think a game can be open world but not a sandbox, but a sandbox can't always be an open world. Do you see what I mean? Like
Mm.
um
Yeah.
and I think that's where your games like your Assassin's Creed, they're sandbox games. You can go anywhere. You can kind of choose pretty much kind of. You've got multiple areas you can go to. There's kind of little consequence to which one you do first. You don't have to go everywhere if you don't want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
Crackdown is a perfect example of being sandbox because you can there's literally, I think it's something like there's 12 bosses, and you can take them out in any order you want. There is no strict you have to kill this one. Apart from I think you have to kill like say every single one of one clan to fight the final person of the one clan, and so say there's 9 of each clan. Kill 3 and then 9 of 1. You can do that in any order, and I think you can get a final one, but I'm not sure. It might just be the 9. GTA was pure sandbox. You just had to reach a certain score anywhere you could. I remember playing a lot of GTA 1, but I thought on the map there was Liberty City and 2 other places. Like when you start up the game or something, you could see Liberty City somewhere else and somewhere else.
I'm not sure. I didn't really play much of. My first GTA was Vice City, and even then, really, I mean, I was technically way too young to play that then. But Vice City was my first GTA, so it's difficult for me to kind of know if you know what I mean.
No, I get what you're saying. Like it wasn't like the map of the area; it was more of an America map, and then it showed 3 cities. But maybe I'm mixing something up in my head. Maybe that was GTA 3. Maybe that wasn't a GTA. I was in fact a dream. As we've been going for about an hour now talking about this. I would like to know your thoughts on the Xbox games reveal and just like what games you're looking forward to coming to the Xbox. Was it actually Liberty City, Vice City, and San Andreas that showed up on GTA 1? Because if so, then fair enough. Because obviously that was 3 Vice City and San Andreas. But I was wondering, like, first of all, I wanted to know your thoughts on the Halo 4 reveal. Because not Halo 4, Halo Infinite reveal, because to be fair, it was pretty bad. Even though, like, for me, visuals are not the main thing. For a lot of people, it seems to be. Also, like, what games are you interested in? Are you going to be getting the S? Are you going to be getting the X? One other thing I want to ask before we move to Xbox: what do you think of the PlayStation 5 having a digital edition with no disc drive? Which I believe the S is discless, because disc driveless as well. What are your thoughts on those?
I mean, we're moving ever closer to a pure digital age. So the fact that they've released a digital version for £100 less, £80 less, whatever it is, makes a lot of sense, I guess. Although, I guess it works both ways, but yeah, like I don't see a problem with it. If somebody has decided that this generation they only want to go digital, then if they can save a little bit of money by not having to have a disc drive, which is just another thing that can go wrong in a console at the end of the day, then I guess it makes sense. It is interesting how both companies have done it very, very differently, because you are right. The Series S has no disc drive. The X has. It's just interesting how Sony have gone. You can have the exact same console. You can have a PS5, full fat PS5, just without the disc drive, and we'll knock £100 off, £80 off, whatever it is. Where Xbox have gone, if you want to go all digital, we're not stopping you doing it from either. But if you don't want a disc drive, then you also have to compromise on native 4K. Actually, yeah, genuinely, native 4K is basically the only thing you compromise on. Ironically, with those Xboxes, but there's a compromise, if you see what I mean. So I don't know. What do you think about it anyway? Do you think was there a need for them to release a digital only version? Or
Well, I don't know if there was a need to do it right now, but that people are more and more going to towards the digital stores and buying things digitally because of ease. Even though half the time it's more expensive, they still do it anyway because I can't be bothered to go to the shop. Which is fair enough. I don't go to the shop either.
I've gone all digital with my Xbox, but that's because I game share with my friend Phil, otherwise known as Slam. So as a result, we organise which games. Yeah, fake rum. We organise which games we're going to buy, and then it just means you're saving money. So, like, for instance, I don't know if we spoke the other day and we were discussing what games we're getting. So he's going to pick up Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed. I'm picking up Star Wars Squadrons and Cyberpunk. Do you know what I mean? Instead of us having to both buy the same games twice.
Oh yeah.
You know, it just game share makes so much sense. So we're actually saving money if you could. So if you consider, because I don't have to buy Call of Duty, you know, call it half. You know, half the money. So
yeah, you're saving in that sense.
You're still saving more than buying it physically.
Yeah,
anyway,
but
so.
my thing is with this is, fair enough, I download games myself. I sometimes buy download games because I'll be like, oh no, fun. I'll be like, right, I'll grab that, and that's cool. But I wouldn't want to spend 80 quid less for a disc driveless console, and I'll be walking down the street seeing a charity shop, a rare Xbox game that I could play on my Xbox, but I can't because I can't put a fucking disc in it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, look at this PlayStation 5 game. This is really rare. It's imported from Japan and they clearly don't know what they're selling. I can't play it. Well, what's the point in buying it? You know, some people will buy it to collect anyway, but I buy my games to fucking play.
Exactly. And you have a point there. If you're buying a discless version of a console, you're buying whatever games you're buying them permanent. In terms of there's no trading backs, there's no picking up secondhand games. Like you cut yourself. So actually, you probably will, if you bought So if you think about it, you'd probably end up actually spending over the course of the lifetime of the console. You'd spend more money on a discless version because you've got no choice but to like. The main problem we've got at the moment with discless versions of consoles is they've got you by the short and curlies. The second you buy one of those, they can charge whatever they want on their storefront.
That's the biggest issue. It's just you're fucked if they just decide to like, I'll be charging 80 quid a game. We'll do sales once at Christmas and you'll be happy.
Like, you're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. So actually, what you've said makes a huge amount of sense. Like, and over the course of the time you own that console, because you have to buy digital games, and let's say you're not game sharing, let's just say you've got to buy your own games, you're paying, normally it's about 5 or more every single game. You know, even if over the course of the lifespan, you would have ended up spending, you know, you've probably lost out on potentially maybe 4 or 5 games worth of money because you've had to spend that extra $5 every time. And then if you consider the fact that you can't buy said game second hand, maybe it's CEX or a game, or if you find it on Facebook or whatever, so you have to rely on sales.
Yeah.
Which
I wouldn't
still
want
might
it,
not
like,
happen.
like even if I buy every single game digitally, I would rather not risk I'd rather not risk chance of not being able to play something I find. Like, what if there's a game I really fancied, I never picked it up because I didn't have the money at the time, and then all of a sudden it got delisted. Yeah. And then it's like, oh well, I can't get it, but I could buy it online, but now I need to buy a new Xbox.
Yeah. So yeah, you know,
it's like, no.
for the sake of saving 80 quid, it's a false economy. Buying a digital-only console, it's a false economy. That's maybe where the discussion changes. Maybe we can kind of segment over to the Xbox from here, because to buy a discless PS5 is a false economy. But to buy a discless, providing that you decide that you want to tie in with Microsoft as its with its Game Pass Ultimate and what have you, is it a false economy to buy a Series S, which is massively cheaper? It's not 80 quid cheaper, it's 200. Is it 250 pound cheaper? It's significant. It's 200 pound cheaper, isn't it?
I think one of the things you could consider with the S is Game Pass.
Yes,
Game Pass Ultimate.
You
You don't just get Game Pass. You get Game Pass. You get Game Pass on. If you get Game Pass Ultimate, you get your live included. You get Game Pass on the Xbox, the PC. You get it on your phone. You get EA access. So you get a lot more going digitally there. Like it is PlayStation Now, but it isn't as good as It's obviously cheaper than Ultimate.
And you've got to consider this as well. If you decided to do the pay monthly contract scheme that they're running for the Xboxes, it's cheaper for you to take a 2-year contract out with either Game or it's not with them, it's with Klarna, isn't it? But it's through those.
Klarna,
It's cheaper. It's cheaper for you to pay monthly. It's £21 a month for the for Series S and Game Pass Ultimate for 2 years. It's cheaper than buying outright a Series S and paying for 2 years worth of a Game Pass Ultimate. So apart from the fact that you don't have to fork out 250 quid there and then. If you're hell bent on not spending much on games, you've got a massive library of games at your fingertips with Game Pass. Yes, a lot of them rotate, but the things that you basically that Microsoft have kind of said and they've said from the beginning is any Microsoft Studio game
is there day one. You're
getting day one on Game Pass, and they will not take it away from you because that's what you're paying for. So consider that you're. So let's just assume that we're safe with that. Like you've got so much value there. You don't have to fork out. There's not even an upfront payment. You literally don't have to fork. You fork out £21 for the first month. You get your console. It's cheaper than buying the console outright. You get all the Microsoft Studio games, which is, bearing in mind that I'll need to find a list. If you find a list of every company that Microsoft now owns that makes games, they all fall under the Microsoft Studio umbrella, Game Studio umbrella. Or
it's free Fallout 76.
Like every single game that those companies make, bang, day one, Xbox, Game Pass, and every so often, I don't think it'd be with every game, but every so often you'll end up getting the Ultimate, like you did with Gears 5, the Ultimate Edition. Like,
one second. Commodore says now it's getting better all the time. Though I just cancelled it because I wasn't using it. I have PlayStation now. It is better than what it was, but personally, I still don't think it's anywhere near as good a deal as Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. Just like I said, with PlayStation Now, you do get access to some. You don't even get access to all the Sony titles, but you get access to some of the PlayStation titles, and they'll take them off sometimes. On top of that, you get some PlayStation 3 games which you have to stream. Personally, I do find it a little laggy. It's not shite, but it's not amazing. And some days it's worse than others. Xbox Game Pass on my phone is also not very good in my house, even though I've tried 2 different ISPs. I've also tried 2 different phones. One of them is a Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. So, it's, I don't know why it's being fucking shite, but it is. Game Pass, but like there's a lot more value for money with Game Pass, especially as like everything that gets added by Microsoft Studios stays there. And I think Cora has joined us. What do you think on all this then, Cora? Or is he not?
Yeah, I think we caught him off guard.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Hello.
There we go. Hey.
I've lost the thread of conversation because my uncle phoned. Like, I joined in and was chatting, and then my uncle phoned. And now I'm kind of away with it. So we were talking. I heard Game Pass being mentioned.
Well, we were talking about like the digital only consoles and the disc drives, and I was like, me and Doom think that like you have PlayStation now with a disc driveless PlayStation 5, but I think if you were to get a discless version of one of the consoles, I think the S series will be the one to go for, because Game Pass Ultimate seems to be more worth the money than get PS Now and PlayStation Plus, because you have to get PlayStation Now and Plus. And
I'm a massive fan of the Game Pass Ultimate. I've had it for a wee while now. And it's really, really good. And I think you're right, like PS Now probably doesn't have the same ease of access, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I personally, if I were going to do one, and I despise the idea of digital only consoles as a rule, but if I were going to do one, it would be the Xbox.
You've got that massive advantage of not even having to fork out for the console, because you can literally just stick it on the 2-year contract, and they give you the option to upgrade after 18 months anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like Microsoft are really playing the long game. They're really playing the long game this time round.
They are, and they're playing it very well as well, I think.
Yeah.
It seems to be, whereas Sony is trying to sell the consoles and games, Xbox are trying to sell a service.
Yeah, definitely.
That's what I feel anyway.
There was always this talk. It was all theories, and I don't think none of them hold any weight. But there was always that talk of potentially Microsoft eventually moving away from developing actual consoles and maybe buddying up with other tech companies and having their services just implanted on that tech, if you know what I mean. I'm thinking that we're many years, but it's not a million miles away from what you could imagine Microsoft
It's possible
with his current plan. Yeah,
you never know. Other companies could do the same. I wanted to speak to you about Microsoft games and stuff. Like, what do you think of the Halo 4 Infinite reveal for a start, and then like what kind of games you're going on to, and then I would like to move on to another topic. I'll call here as well.
All right.
So, if you could describe to me your feelings as Master Chief used a grapple beam, Doom.
I actually like. I'm not a Halo fan, so like, and I genuinely didn't bother me whatsoever. Like, I genuinely, as boring as it is, I've got very little to say about it. Say, well, it is what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough. So is there anything that's coming to the Xbox that you particularly like the look of, and Doom? And new Cora as well.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think what's been announced for it. What's been announced? I need to get a list of what's been announced. I cannot remember what's.
The Series X launch games aren't exactly floating my boat too much.
I'm not sure what's been, because the issue you have with both the PlayStation, not all the games, but with the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox X series, is a lot of the games are cross-platform. Yeah. More so with the Xbox is meant to be like this family thing. But
so the Xbox Series X launch games, according to GameSpot 5 days ago, are almost entirely made up of games that are already out on PS4 or Xbox One. So like Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a reasonably big one, I suppose. Yeah. FIFA, Fortnite, Gears 5, Gears Tactics, Avengers, NBA 2021. Tetris Effect. I think I watched.
That's on
someone
PlayStation
stream-
4, that is.
Yeah, I think I watched. Was it Quillito streaming Tetris Effect a few weeks ago, and it actually looks really good. But I don't. It's not exactly a system seller. Watch Dogs Legion, Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Well, when was the Medium is coming out? I don't think it's coming out for launch, but it's coming out near launch. That looked pretty
Yeah.
cool with the whole, like, it's simultaneously rendering two worlds. You can switch between them at will, I think. That actually
It's
seems really interesting.
Yeah, it looks. I suspect that that's about to be announced as a launch game, because they were teasing a big announcement to be made in the near future, and I don't think it ever materialised, did it?
It's
I
probably
suspect we'll see that shortly.
probably them buying
For-
fucking Bethesda. Well,
No,
Oh,
it was the
Vendor.
developers of the Medium that were teasing an announcement. So I don't know
right.
if they're going to be announcing that, but it looks decent if they can follow through on the premise, because it's kind of like simultaneous Light World, Dark World Zelda stuff, isn't it? Like in theory.
Mm.
So if it works,
Yeah, but it
it'll
was
be
a lot
brilliant.
more. It's a lot more instantaneous kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, and like it sounds really cool that both worlds are actually happening at the same time. So, in a way, if you were able to somehow set the game up, you could have like both worlds on two screens. That would be interesting.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming it would be a real missed opportunity if they don't let you do that. I think.
It would be cool. I don't know if they'd
it would
be
be
able
cool.
to do it though, but
I don't see why not. I'm assuming it's getting a PC release as well. Or is it an Xbox exclusive?
I think it's Xbox exclusive. I'm not sure if it's timed though.
Well, I'd be interested to see. It does. It certainly seems like it's something that would work really well in the context of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not really
yeah.
sure of what is coming that is going to be specifically, like brand new out at the time and not on the
Oh, the
Xbox 360.
medium's
What,
down as
Xbox
10th
One?
of December.
Ah, nice. It's not on
Sorry.
launch, but it's close enough. It's close enough.
Nah, not launch, but like within a couple of weeks.
Launch. says.
Yeah. There's another Tetris game. Puyo Puyo Tetris 2.
Ah, Puyo Puyo. Puyo Puyo is fun. Puyo Puyo is,
Overcooked.
if you don't know what Puyo Puyo is, it's Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah.
The little jelly beans.
Overcooked All You Can Eat. I've never played an Overcooked game, and I'm like,
Overcooked All You
I've,
Can
I've
Eat,
seen other people play it.
I believe, is both Overcooked and Overcooked 2, and I think they've been done
Right.
better. You can. This is everything from the first two games. Overcooked is fucking. I've put in over 100 hours into Overcooked and Overcooked 2, so I'm a big fan.
Cool.
Genuinely great fun, especially to play with your missus. Yeah.
Everwild, that's the rare game, isn't it?
That's the rare game, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that then, Doom, actually? Because I know you're a massive fan of Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, has that got a? I haven't really seen much of it. I've been since having the baby, I've been very out the loop, and I just catch things every so often. But has that game got a release date now?
I don't think it's got an official release date, but it's kind of on or around launch.
Okay. I haven't seen. Have they released much about it? I don't remember seeing much about it. So.
Not a lot,
No.
and I'll be surprised if it doesn't get put back. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
based on how little was seen.
Yeah, it would seem very odd to release a game that we've literally seen no gameplay of at all, and potentially it could be out in 3 or 4 months. It seems a bit that don't make sense to me. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not hyping myself up too much for it because I'm not assuming it's going to use the Sea of Thieves model, but in a different way. It could be a totally different game. The aesthetic looks very nice. It's got the aesthetic of the Sea of Thieves, which is very appealing to me. But yeah, I'm very what's the word? Like kind of wait and see with it. It'd be interesting because I need to see more. You know, at the moment we had a teaser trailer, and that's it. So I'm looking forward to what they're doing, and if they are kind of implementing that Sea of Thieves-esque type of thing, but in a different game, then I would be interested into how that works. But yeah, like in general, I think it's a little bit of a weird one. Essentially, the selling point of buying an Xbox Series X or S actually, but for the purposes of this, let's say the X, because that's the one that directly competes with the PS5. Its selling point isn't to play new games; it's to play the games you've already got better. That's its thing at the moment, really, isn't it? You can now play all the games that you currently, but you can play them at 4K and at 120 frames a second. That seems to be where their selling point, rather than going, look at all these amazing games coming out like that are exclusive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It seems to be they've shown some stuff that's come in, but they haven't really. I don't think they've shown anything first party that have got a definitive release date or even an estimated date, really, is there? Apart from maybe Everwild, but you never know with that. But it does seem to be at the moment, hey, everything that is available to play now, you can play better. Even games that are like Valhalla, for example, you can play it better on the Xbox One X series, Xbox X series. Fucking stupid naming fucking things. You know what I mean? So it'd be interesting to look at.
Their selling point is they're saying, well, you're currently enjoying the games you're playing. That's great, and there's games coming out like Valhalla and excellent. So like, it's like enjoy the games that are coming out, but why don't you play them on the Xbox Series X to get the best experience out of them? And then what they're doing is, while you're doing that and while you're enjoying yourself on those games, which they're hoping that's what you do, that gives them time to start releasing the games exclusive. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's almost like I think they're almost kind of going, here's a new console, play the games that you currently enjoy plus the ones that are about to come out, and get the best experience on the X. And while you're getting the best experience of these games, while you experience that, we'll by the time you're ready and you finish those games, we'll have our exclusive games.
Yeah.
Like it's almost like it's a teaser or a taster, really, isn't it? This is what we can do with old games. We can run these games at 4K, 120 frames a second, no sweat, easy peasy stuff. Like that's what you can get with old games. Wait until you see what we've got coming, and it's almost that type of, like, almost that taster or that teaser. I almost feel that maybe they're doing, because I can't imagine Microsoft they've done so well up to this point. I highly doubt they've dropped the ball and gone, shit, we haven't got any games to release. Fuck, what are we gonna do? Like, I assume this is a tactic. They're literally going, well, let's give them the taster. Let's just show them what we can do with old games, and then let's just kind of let them know when you're ready. Once you finish those games and you're kind of settled in and you kind of got a feel for what we're all about with this Xbox, we're gonna slam you with a game that is designed specifically for this console, and you're going to see how amazing it is. Like, I kind of feel that's what. Maybe I'm being optimistic, but I kind of. Do you see what I mean?
I kind of agree with you. It looks like, just from looking at the launch and sort of near launch titles that are coming out, it looks like the kind of plan has been get a few big franchises out on there quickly.
Yeah.
And then save the first party exclusive stuff until a little bit later on.
Yeah.
And then hopefully once you pull people in with the FIFAs and the Gears and the NBAs and all of that stuff, then kind of blindside them with an Everwild or something from Bethesda or something that's going to come out and sort of push them on to the next level. So yeah, I do see where you're coming from there.
Yeah.
What do you think, Pedz?
No, I think I agree with you there. I think they've gone for a different approach to Sony. I think Sony are trying to like lull people in with, come on, get these big games straight away kind of thing. And although they're on the PlayStation 4, and Sony seem to neglect saying that first. But like Microsoft, when they actually announced this stuff, they actually said like Halo Infinite is coming on launch, but this will be playable on the original Xbox One. So it's understandable like why some of the games are going to be a bit hamstrung at the minute, but it does seem to be a case of, look, you can play stuff better. You'll have some good third-party titles. Don't worry about our games. You can see the fucking the people we've actually bought. You can see the talent that these companies have. We've got Bethesda, we've got fucking id, you got fucking Ninja Theory, yeah, Ninja Theory. They got, so it's like, you know, they say like, yeah, we'll tide over the third-party games and some better beefed up versions of that, but you know we have quality coming. The thing is that going to be enough to entice people in? Because people want instant gratification.
The other thing is though as well, like the first year or two of a new console cycle are always is always kind of taken up.
Yeah, the first year is usually quite bad.
Re-releases and remasters and all the kind of guff that's been,
except for the Switch, all 4 years have been remasters and ports.
That's Nintendo's way now, though. Like, Nintendo is very much a first party. You don't buy a Nintendo really, or most people don't buy a Nintendo for like big exclusive, like big franchises and stuff like that.
For Nintendo, don't they?
Yeah, they've very successfully positioned themselves as a kind of addendum to whichever one of the PlayStation and the Xbox you feel like going for.
Yeah.
And it works for them. They've done really well off the back of it.
Yeah.
But even since the time of the GameCube, like the N64 to GameCube transition or PS1 to PS2 transition, the first year or two of new games has been kind of not fantastic, and it's probably not the worst thing to keep the exclusives back until everyone's got a handle on how the hardware actually works.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I said as well, a lot of the games are going to be cross-platform with the titles, because there's no fucking way they're going to go, right, here's our PlayStation 5, we're not doing anything on the PlayStation 4, here's our X series, not doing anything else on the Xbox One, because we want as little sales as possible. Because a lot of people are not going to be able to afford to upgrade straight away, or unsure on what they're going to go for, or some people just wait a few years. So they're going to be thinking, well, we can still sell these games to the people who haven't upgraded, and then give them a little bit, give them a taster of what's coming, and then fucking maybe they'll want, by the time they upgrade, stuff will be there to entice them.
What I think as well is something that's just come to mind is, apart from, you know, the theory that we've kind of come up with saying, you know, they're letting us experience the games available now, and then they kind of wait until we've got developed specifically for this console. What you got to remember as well is, like, they're not bothered about having games for this thing, because they've positioned themselves, they put themselves in a position where you might as well buy the new console because of how easy it is to buy, because you can do monthly payments. Like they've taken the one massive decision out of buying the console. The one big problem with buying a console was, how much is it going to be? How much am I going to have to spend? How long I'm going to have to save for, and all this and that. Do I want to spend £500-600, whatever you know, the theory was. Do you know what I mean? You had all that. Microsoft have come out and just gone, like, if you want to buy our consoles outright, by all means carry on. But they've also put themselves in a position where you might as well get the, like, literally they've taken, if you think about the decision-making process to buy a next generation console is basically gone or diminished massively, because now it's like, well, I might as, like, I'm sitting here now, I've got an Xbox One X, and I'm sitting here now just like, I don't have to upgrade. There's absolutely no reason why I have to upgrade for the next year or so, but I might as well. I'm already paying for Game Pass, for instance. What is it for me to spend? Well, I want a Series X, so what is it for me to spend an extra £15 a month? That's all I'm gonna have to spend extra, and I can have an X. Like, the whole decision-making process has changed because of the way Microsoft have positioned themselves. That in itself will sell their console. They don't need to worry about making sure they got games ready to go, because people will buy their console out of an impulse because it's so easily attainable now.
Yeah, possibly.
When was the last time you could buy a console as an impulse buy? Like when it first came out? Almost never, unless you're rolling in cash.
GameCube.
Like most people have to seriously consider it, and then they got to.
The GameCube when it came was the GameCube 190 quid out? It was 130 quid when it came out. I the GameCube.
GameCube. I've got the price of 128 quid in my head.
I'm thinking 130. That was a good fucking price for a console that was more powerful than the PlayStation 2.
Even at the time, I think that works out at like 230 quid or something in today's money, like just off the top of my head, because I was talking to someone about it recently. But even at the time, that was an incredible bit of value for money, and it's still sold fuck all in the UK.
You can suck!
A paradoxical console like no one would ever believe, the GameCube. But to be honest, pricing the console in the way that they have done actually works really well in current financial circumstances as well. So for Microsoft, so I wonder if that'll actually help sales.
Oh, huge! Like as I said, that decision making process is no longer a factor. Like you can impulse buy a next generation console because you can afford no. Do you know what I mean? It's like people now know. Oh, I can afford £30 a month or £28 a month, whatever it is. Or I can afford £21 a month. Yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna do it.
Yeah.
And when they're in stock, you literally walk into Smith's toy store, just go, yeah, I'll have that, and I'll have it on the pay monthly thing. And after a few details are put in, you
do it online.
A brand new console and Game Pass Ultimate.
And you're not like hundreds and hundreds of pounds down. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Exactly. And the thing is with Game Pass Ultimate, one thing I forgot to mention is
they don't need release. They don't really need release titles apart from what they've third party stuff. Like,
I was about to say another thing you get with,
as you say, that's probably why they've gone so heavy on the kind of franchise nature of the launch lineup. Yeah, like who's gonna if you can walk out with the Game Pass Ultimate in the console and immediately have Gears of War, FIFA, NBA, a couple of other like big franchise games, Fortnite. Yeah, you know that's a massive purchase to have a brand new next generation console sitting on their telly.
Yeah, running at 4K at 120 frames a second. Like,
yep.
You know, you're getting the absolute best experience that you could possibly get. Well, okay, minus having a PC. Like, you're getting the best experience. You're getting the best couch experience for one of the better terms than like compared to anything. Like, it's almost no brainer. And I do, and like I say, with this current climate and you know people not sure if they've got jobs at the moment and everything, like it makes a lot of sense.
I guess one second, Cricket said it's. I guess
and,
not so
and
bad.
That itself is going to sell the console.
One sec.
They don't need games to sell it weirdly or exclusively.
Cricket has said, I guess it's not so bad if you consider inflation, but it does add up quite a bit.
So I assume the way this conversation's going, I'm assuming you're edging towards the Xbox then retro.
Why the fuck was I muted in Discord?
I've said this before. I've said this before, but like I kind of gravitate towards Microsoft at the moment only because of the possibility of Rock Band 5 coming out, and me being able to keep the literal 4-figure sum of downloadable content that I've got on it.
Okay.
We were talking about the payment scheme. Well, because for some reason I'm muted on Discord, even though my mute button is the same as my stream mute button, and it didn't do anything. Cricket said it's not so bad, I guess, if you consider inflation, but it does add quite a lot more than the console when you've all paid up. If you look at the Xbox One X, when you could buy that day one with the Game Pass Ultimate and the other stuff that came with it, it cost more than if you paid it monthly. Like it was something silly like you pay monthly for it. Yeah, you pay monthly for it. And it was like 420 quid. You bought it outright, it would cost you 435 quid. Or 440 quid. It was like 20 odd quid cheaper because there's no inflation.
That's insane. Oh, right, okay.
It's basically you're paying a slightly less. So because I worked it out, which is why I've done it with my Xbox One X. So I can upgrade to an X series.
Lost leadership then, isn't it? Because they're not going to make they're not going to make much money off of that from the early adopters.
But the thing is, they know that if you buy it outright day one, you're going to pay more. But if you wait for a sale, you're going to pay less, but you can have to wait.
No.
So it's a way to ensure you're getting, like, not quite the full amount, but more than if you were to wait for sales and buy it outright then.
Yeah, that does make sense, in fairness.
That's my thought on it, anyway.
I have not looked at this very much. How much, or can you get a disc-based console on this deal, or is it discless only?
No. Any Xbox console you want, you can have it on the pay monthly. So that's the Series X or the Series S.
I've done it with my Xbox One X, so I've got to wait now for about a year, and then I can upgrade it to the X series, I think, and carry on playing.
So I might very seriously consider this then, actually.
Yeah, it's worth doing.
I think I done the maths for both of them when just out of interest. It was a week or two ago. Basically, by the time what you got to remember is if let's say you buy a Series S outright, that's 250 quid. Game Pass Ultimate is £11 a month. So 2 years, 11 into 12. What's that? 120 a year.
11 times 12, 131.
Sorry, 130. So 2 years of that, 262 on top of the cost of the Xbox S, the Series S, 262. It's just over 500 quid, isn't it? 510, 512. Yeah, 512. That's if you buy the console outright and then pay. I mean, you can't bulk pay up front, but and then after 2 years, you've paid for you would have paid out £512. By doing the monthly payment thing at £21 a month for 24 months. What's the maths behind that? I can't. Where's my calculator? I'm too tired to work this out myself.
I think someone posted it with the Xbox One X when it first was announced. Like they posted it on GRcade, and they actually said, like it actually said the prices and stuff, and it was like 25 quid you save.
Yeah, it's five. So on the Series S, it's £503 over 24 months. So yes, we're not talking you know massive savings, but the point is, it's literally cheaper to just get the pay monthly scheme for 2 years than it is to buy the console outright and to pay for a total of 2 years of the thing. So, and it's the same for the X. It's a bigger difference, obviously because it's a more expensive console. But yeah, so but either way, it will always work out cheaper for just to pay monthly, and there's no upfront cost either.
That's man.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And this is why I'm coming back to saying that you could literally impulse buy a brand new console. Like you could be walking past Smith's in your local town with your missus or whatever, and as you walk past, you see, oh, they've got them in stock. Oh, do you mind if we spend? And yeah, go on then. 30 quid a month. Yeah, go on. We can afford that. Yeah, go on then. Just as a whim, you can literally go and buy a next-gen console off a whim if you want to. Because all you've got to do, can I afford £28 a month? Can I afford £21 a month? Yes, I can. I'll just go in and do it then. That is literally the thought process you have to put into it. It's insane.
I'm just looking to see what I already pay in the Ultimate. So I've got Game Pass Ultimate.
Game Pass Ultimate.
Quid, so it's not going to...
Yeah,
probably much more.
A month, whatever it is,
yeah, it's definitely worth going into it in looking at that, because it's not that much more and it works out a lot slightly cheaper than buying the console.
Huh.
Yeah. Afro Samurai 2. Hey, I'd love to play Afro Samurai 2. I love Afro Samurai. It's fucking awesome. It's one of the few animes. I've never played the game. I just really like the anime. The anime's awesome. It's one of the few animes. It's one of the few animes I fucking loved watching. With
Western made, isn't it? Afro Samurai.
Is it Western made?
Is it Madhouse?
Oh well, that explains why it's one anime that I have no problem with the Western version of the dialogue, because Samuel L. Jackson's awesome.
it's a Japanese manga. I don't know. I always had it in my head that it was a Western made, but it's not. It's
That is something I didn't know. That Cricken just said, sorry, is if you put an older Xbox game into your Series X, you can claim the digital version of the game.
oh, that is excellent. That is all like that is.
Oh, I think I just heard someone
very
come.
important. Yeah, only reason being like so many times I'll try and like I'm wanting to play something like Dead Rising on the bone,
Yeah,
and the only way I can do that is by buying a new digital version of it, and it's like fuck that.
yeah.
If I could actually just put the disc in for something like Tony Hawk's
Yeah.
and have the digital version sitting there,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
that would be so much better.
One thing I wanted to speak to you guys about, have you heard about this, right? It's called the Xbox Hall of Fame. Basically, you have challenges to do. For example, one of them is Gamerscore Legend. You had until the 22nd of November till October the 19th, so you've got 5 days to do it, because it's late. You basically just got to rack up as fucking much achievement points as you can. Right? There's another one, which is Achievement Conqueror, which is getting as many achievements then. One is for, like, I'm not sure, one is for score and one is for achievements. Yeah, I think achievements is this one. The other one was Gamerscore, because it's called Gamerscore. Then you've got Xbox Game Pass Ruler, which was obviously from the 22nd of November to the 19th of October. And it's for playing as many Game Pass games. Even if the game was on Game Pass and has been removed and you was to play now, it counts. So anything that's been on Game Pass or is on Game Pass counts. Right? So you've got those. You also had Xbox Trials. One of them I've missed, which is gutting. I would have done this with Doom and that because it would have been more likely to get it done. It's called Sea of Thieves Legendary Captain. Between the 2nd and 4th of October. So this is gone now. Is you earn as much emissary value as you can in Athena's Fortune emissary voyages over the weekend. When you get that, you get like a special thing. Like I think you might get a legendary captain title or something, but it enters you into this thing, which is the Hall of Fame. And if you can get into the Hall of Fame, you can win a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate,
Right.
a Xbox hoodie with Hall of Fame on it, an Xbox Hall of Fame trophy, or an Xbox One, an X Series.
Right. So how many achievements do you need to get this?
Just need to play as much as you can and be the top in the UK.
Oh fuck that! There's no chance. We're already halfway through the month.
Exactly. Registering for the Hall of Fame opens on the 20th of September. Blah blah blah. Over a 3-week period, you've got to like be the best at stuff. And basically, you've just got. It's a shame I didn't know about it sooner. Because in each participating country, there will be 8 winners inducted into the Hall of Fame. So,
Wow.
if you can win on all these, things, or become really high up, even if you're in the top 8, you'll likely get some good shit, like, for free.
That's quite impressive.
It's good that they've done that. Was it Microsoft that with the Xbox One, they did the whole, like there was a trailer shown on the internet for a game, and then like there's a little code that people found, and they put that on the internet, give them a clue, they then found that clue went somewhere else, that took them somewhere else, and it ended up leading them to like this guy to a van in the middle of nowhere which had an Xbox One in it.
That's cool.
That
I'm pretty
is
sure
really
that was what
random.
it was. Yeah, it was Microsoft. It was like for the launch or something. It was something they did. It was all like viral stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's quite cool.
So yeah, that. So this would be really cool to do. Unfortunately, the Sea of Thieves one is gone. Getting as I would have harassed Doom to do that with me and Slam and that, and if they still all play it.
Yeah.
Then you've got Gamerscore Champion, which how much Gamerscore can you rack up in the qualifying period? You want maximum returns, so choose your games carefully and plan accordingly. Achievement Defeater. Those quick and easy achievements have never looked better. Unlock as many as you can in the qualifying period, so you've got a little bit. Then you've got State of Decay 2 Zombie Slayer.
The what Zombie Slayer?
State of Decay 2. So basically just start a new standard zone and just clear all the plague arts as quickly as you can without any multiplayer help. So just get in there and do it as fast as you never know, you might win. This one has ended as well, unfortunately, which was the first trial, which is Hall of Fame. It ended 3 days ago. It's Forza Horizon 4 Hall of Fame circuit. So it's a very specific circuit for that.
Right, okay.
It would have been cool to have done it, and you can still do it. I've joined up just for the sake of it anyway, but I won't get it. But I just thought it'd be fun. It would be cool if they'd done things like this more often, like a yearly thing. Like, hey, look, let's reward our.
Yeah, because it's not exactly costing them loads of money, is it? Like
no.
And it's a good way to gain a bit of publicity and get people talking about the Xbox. I might actually give it a shot. I might actually give the achievement one a shot. Yeah, I'm doing an achievement run just now with Heatlight and a couple other guys. Actually,
achievement
on true
achievements. I've never taken part. I'm not asked.
I got my first achievement in 13 years on Perfect Dark Zero earlier on.
Wow. Why?
Do you know what? I think I'm going to take a shot at getting 1,000 on Perfect Dark Zero.
I'll happily play through it in co-op with you, and then that's it. We've got one level left, and I'm done with it. Unless you decide I wanted to play through it on Perfect Agent on the GRcade channel, and I'll do that. I might do actually. The only co-op achievement I need, the only co-op achievements I need are for getting 5 missions and the game finished on Dark Agent. And I think they're the ones that are going to do me in the most because I've just started Perfect Agent on solo, and it is not easy. And not because it's like fun, challenging, difficult, just because it's like stupidly crap,
like bad AI difficult.
Yeah, well, I don't mind helping you with the co-op one at some point. So what are your thoughts on this kind of thing then? Do you think it'd be like do you think it'd be worth doing more?
Yeah, I mean, this ties in to what I was saying earlier. Is Microsoft are being very consumer friendly at the moment. Do you know what I mean? In terms of their
image,
their interaction with their customers or potential customers, and their interaction with their consumer base and everything is being very good at the moment. Overall, Microsoft normally, since Phil Spencer's taken over anyway, they've been getting a lot better. They've been a lot better, and they're getting pretty good at that kind of consumer contact. And this is just another good example of it. I think they seem to be quite in touch with the actual everyday gamer, if you see what I mean. Like they seem quite down to earth, and this is, like I said, it's just another good example.
It's a big difference to the end of last gen and beginning of this gen, as we were saying earlier. Was it Don Matrick before?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, he was a dickhead.
Oh, it's fucking but Phil Spencer seems to have really shaken things up. And like I said, I'm glad at the competition between the companies, because if it became a one console only thing, then we'd have issues, because I think the creativity would falter a bit.
Yeah, it's no fun. It's no fun having a dominant market leader.
No,
I would like it if all three major companies were working at hugely competitive with one another, but I don't think Nintendo are ever going to get back into that.
Yeah.
One or two of them, to be fair, but
yeah, I mentioned earlier that Sony. They had a pop at Nintendo, didn't they? And it did not work. And the PS2, the PSP, sold well, but it paled in comparison to the DS. And the PS Vita did not sell so well. It's become a bit of a cult. It's got a bit of a cult following as a result. But Sony have realised that if you want to try and take Nintendo on at their own game, fucking good luck.
Yeah, I would agree with that, to be honest.
It's very, very difficult, because they, as you said earlier, they know what they're doing. They've got their own thing going on. Everything's very in-house with them, and it's only recently they've been trusting kind of outside developers, really, haven't they? And they've started to maybe slacken the reins off a bit. But yeah, no, there's. I think. I don't know. I can't imagine I mean, obviously they haven't done it, so it's difficult to say. But I can't imagine, like, if Microsoft suddenly or Sony suddenly went, you know what? Yeah, we like the idea of the Switch. Let's have a go ourselves. It would be that, like, I'm sure it would be great, but it wouldn't be like.
It doesn't have the allure that the Nintendo brand does in that kind of arena, does it?
No, exactly, and that would play a huge part to play.
Speaking of competition and creativity and competition, mainly competition, what are your thoughts on the 24th of September, where Amazon announced their streaming service called Luna?
I have completely missed this.
Basically, on September the 24th, Amazon announced that they will be doing a cloud-based service like Stadia or even xCloud. It's called Luna. It's currently only available in the US because it's on a trial basis thing. It'll cost $5.99 a month during early access. No one knows if it will be included in Prime or if they up Prime.
Or there'll be the option to upgrade Prime.
Yeah, that would be good. But when they added like the sports stuff, like the tennis to Amazon, I think they fucking upped the price by quite a lot. Or they added Prime TV, they upped the Prime service, whereas all I wanted was fucking deliveries cheaper. So yeah, it's basically the same thing. If you go on, like I'm on a link now and it shows the pad, which looks alright. There is a trailer video. It showed quite a few games, but the only one is saying that in this list here is Resident Evil 7 Control, Panzer Dragoon, A Plague Tale Innocence, The Surge 2 Ukulele, Grid Abzu Brother, Tale of Two Sons. So it's not offering any new games from the looks of it, whereas I think Stadia actually does. Like in Stadia, I went on this one game because I grabbed it, trial of it, which I keep forgetting about cancelling. So I've actually got it, and then every month I forget to get my free games. There's this one game on there that you can like build your own stuff. I went on there, jumped into someone's thing, and it was basically like, don't touch the floor. And you had to jump around these levels through the city, up around buildings, and not touch the floor because it was just lava. And it was quite fun. But there is things on there that are exclusive to that. Kind of like Apple Arcade. I think they've got some exclusive games as well. But I have not got access to that because I haven't got any Apple device. I got Apple TV built into my TV, but you can't access Apple Arcade from that. Yeah. So, what do you think of it then? Do you think it's going to be better than Stadia? Do you think they're going to stick around?
I hope it fails. Like, nothing against the people working on it or anything like that, but Amazon already own so much of my life and everybody's life. I don't really want them to come into this field as well.
Next you'll own your toilet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's kind of it, isn't it?
Well, to be fair, they have got a button you press that brings you toilet roll delivered to you when you're running out.
Yeah. It's like I still don't trust streaming services. Like I like the fact that xCloud is included in my
Ultimate,
and that's great. And at some point I'll give it a go, but I'm not fully sold on the whole cloud thing yet. It's a bit gimmicky at the moment, but yeah, we'll get better and that's fine.
The thing is though, is like, even though I was saying like PlayStation Now streaming is not great, it's not bad. It's like there is a bit of lag. It's not too bad. Like xCloud for me on my phone is a bit janky, not because of like lag, but for me it goes very pixelated, and I don't know why, because like my ping is good, and when I look at like testing packet loss, I get none and stuff like that, so I don't know what it is. And Stadia is honestly, Stadia runs perfectly. There's no input lag or anything that I've noticed, so it is a viable way of playing games. The issue you have is as you've said in the past, Doom, if your internet cuts out and that's your only way to play games, you can't play your games.
Exactly, yeah, it's screwed. And it's that reliant on on your internet connection. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's hard.
And if you move to a different area and it's got worse internet, you might then struggle again.
Yeah.
But it is going to be. It is like a viable platform now, at least. Like back when that other one came out many years ago that I forgot the name of. I'm sure someone will tell me in chat. On Live, Doom will tell me. On Live came out, like I think that was a bit more of a pain in the ass because of input lag and stuff. But stuff now is not too bad. It's just like Stadia's biggest issue, I think, right, was it promised so many things, and now like 90% of those features I don't even think are there. Hey, you can press a button on your pad and it'll bring you up the browser and you can go straight to YouTube and check out your info. You press this button and instantly stream to YouTube. Oh, you can press this button and it'll bring up a guide that's on YouTube. Or you can browse the internet and you can do this and you can do that. And it's like, when we bothered implementing it?
One day.
That's the thing with Amazon getting involved is there's no doubt that they've got the resources to do this, like as in money. They've got there's no worry about that. You know, if they want to spend the money on this, they could make a very, very successful service. There is that point of I don't necessarily want one company to monopolize a bit too much. They already own Twitch, but saying that, can you imagine how easy it would be to implement Twitch into their streaming service, and providing they can get it, and things are, Amazon are one of those companies that if they really want to put the infrastructure in, I think they would go. I think they would go above and beyond what's already been done, and I think they would probably end up doing like localized data centers, and I mean literal localized data, in the same way that you've got depots all dotted all over the place. You know, like I live in like kind of Cardiff area, and if I go, well, pretty much if I go like 50 miles left or right, I either get to the Swansea depot, Amazon depot, or to the Bristol one. Like literally, they're in the middle. Like, and these depots are dotted all over the place. So I could see them kind of putting some kind of real serious infrastructure in. If they're real, I mean, at the end of the day, they know how big gaming is. They own Twitch, and they know how much money they make from that. You know, with the deals they do with streamers and that, they know the market just based off the streamers they've got on contract through Twitch. Like, if they really want to go for it, I wouldn't put it past them to put serious money into this, and like I say, do proper localized data centers that are literally you are connecting to a data center that's no more than 30 miles away from you. Like, I could see them doing that kind of thing, and that would be applicable to people all over the country, or you know, with whatever country they do this in, to make it as seamless as possible. Like, do you know what I mean? And the fact that then they would integrate it so well, and you just know they will. Like, at the end of the day, they'll do like Prime Ultimate. You can see it coming. Prime Ultimate for $14.99 a month, and you're gonna get Amazon Music, you're gonna get Prime TV, Prime Video. You'll get your deliveries, you'll get Twitch Prime, and you'll get the streaming service all into one. And it's coming. And if they can start offering like games and stuff like included in that price, then I think they could be onto a winner. You know, it all depends how much money they want to throw into this. But if any company's going to do it, Amazon are one of the companies that could do it well.
Yeah, I think Grum's right as well. Like, there's a lot of infrastructure already in place on Amazon's part that they could use.
Yeah. So
Microsoft had the bigger current infrastructure. Or am I dreaming now?
I have no idea, man.
In terms of servers, because you know they're all over the world, but Amazon won't be that far behind, I don't think, with a few tweaks, I think it wouldn't take much. They could even install data centers in their warehousing if they really wanted to, and their warehouses are literally dotted.
Oh yeah, the warehouses are everywhere.
Yeah. So if you, I mean, this is no idea if they decided, right, let's install data centers in every single warehouse we own. Like, imagine how many people locally could connect to that, like, because of how many there are. It'd be ridiculous. Insane. Like, do you know what I mean? You wouldn't live further than 30 miles away from a data center.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is a bit frightening in many respects as well.
Yeah.
But hey ho.
Yeah, the issue is Amazon are meant to be like a really shitty company, like, and they're just taking over the world slowly. Before long, they'll own the forest, as in the rainforest, as in the Amazon rainforest.
Just own the planet.
Exactly. Would you like to buy a house? Well, first you must see if Jeff Bezos will allow you to buy one on Earth. If you go for Amazon Prime, which is £19,000 a month now, then you can get a new house every 6 years.
Just to put things into perspective, in terms of his wealth, he's worth what, 120 something billion, 122, 123 billion. If you put that into perspective, I know this is a really quirky way of doing it, but it's something I read and it's mind-boggling if you can get your head around. If somebody gave you, and I want to get this right, if somebody gave you £1,000 a day, every single day, from the point of Jesus' birth, right? So Jesus is born. Every day from that point onwards, someone gives you £1,000 a day. Up until today, you would still not be as rich as Jeff Bezos is. It's insane. It's insane. It's something like that anyway. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a really stupid like thing that somebody worked out.
If you got 10,000, I think like one of the ones I saw is if you were given $10,000 every day since the Great Pyramid at Giza was finished in 2400 BC or something like that, you still would not have as much money as Jeff Bezos has right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's disgusting.
Yeah.
What was it? I saw today on Twitter that it would cost him half of his total net worth to buy the actual Amazon rainforest and like protect it from all future like logging and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He doesn't do it. What a selfish bastard. It's only half his wealth.
I know.
You should make the money back within about 5 minutes.
Obviously, you don't know what he's got in like trust and stuff like that, but it's still like it's just mind-boggling stuff.
He could buy everyone a house and still be... Well, that would be nice. I'll give him a ring now and see what he says.
Give him a call.
Cumberdane said in chat to Cricken, but I'll read it out. He said, "You heard about streets of Kamuroko, I think is how it's pronounced, and I saw that on GRcade before I came on, and it's basically, it looks like a Streets of Rage game, but based with the two main people from whatchamacallit, Yakuza. It's what are their names? Kiryu and Majima.
Right.
Kiryu and Majima. So it looks like a Streets of Rage game. It's supposed to be something to do with the Kamurocho. Is that how you say it, or are you just taking the piss? So I sound even more stupid on the podcast. Yeah, but basically I think it's something to do with the 60 years since 2020, for all its sins. This is what someone said. Marks 60 years since the mighty Sega was founded, and the company's Western arm has announced it will be celebrating the occasion with a range of activities, including the release of 4 free retro-styled minigames on Steam inspired by some notable franchises. So this is coming to Steam and it's free.
Interesting.
And it's basically Yakuza of Rage. Or Streets of Yakuza, I guess.
Streets of Yakuza. What's going on here?
It's quite cool. They're releasing a prototype Golden Axe game. Oh, that's cool.
That is great. Oh, I saw that. That actually looks amazing. I'm all in for that. Oh, Jesus Christ, what the fuck?
I'm interested in properly playing the Return of Death Adder, I think it's called, the second arcade game, because that looks so much cooler than the second Golden Axe on Mega Drive. It's quite different. You don't play as any of the characters from the original game. Well, one of the characters I think is the same, the dwarf guy. You play as him, but you don't play as him. He's on like the back of like a giant thing, and you actually control him controlling the giant thing.
Right, that is quite. Oh, that is quite cool, actually.
Yeah. They released the prototype Golden Axe game. There was this 2013. Well, not the shitty Xbox one, the PlayStation 3 one. Because that looked fucking awful. The one where you played as the woman, and it looked kind of open worldy or something, but it looked fucking bad. Sega did go through a point at one point of just releasing like quite crappy stuff, and then all of a sudden they started releasing good stuff again.
I still love Sega, man.
Same here.
Like,
I love
I've
Sonic
got all the
06.
time in the world for them.
Sonic 06 is the bestest ever game ever. That's why I've played through it twice.
I've only heard it used in meme form recently, but like,
if you PM me your address, I'll fucking send you it.
What game is that?
Sonic 06.
Is it really that bad?
Well, yeah. If you've got an Xbox 360, you can play it, and I'll send it to you. When you finish, send it back. You'll love it. Actually, if you've got a PlayStation 3, if we can find a cheap PlayStation 3 copy, that'll be better because it runs even worse.
Really?
Yeah.
I do actually have a PS3, so I'm
Right, Dan.
more than happy to give that a try.
The 361 was Golden Axe Beast Rider. Yeah,
Never heard of it, which is not a good sign for a Golden Axe game for me.
It was on the 360. I'm not sure if it was on the PlayStation 3, but it's definitely on the 360. And it was meant to be awful. It looked awful. But It was meant to actually be awful. The MC2. The MC2 is amazing, Cricken. You're always asking people to play it. Yes, it's true. Sonic 06 isn't that cheap on PS. Is there anything you guys would like to bring to the table tonight?
Can't think of anything. Have we kind of all like? Have we kind of all said what consoles? Like, are we getting? Okay, so out of the three of us, any of us getting that one of the next gen consoles day one or in the release window, as they like to say?
See, well, I had originally said no, but if this stuff with the Xbox works out, then I might very well actually pick one of them up.
Yeah.
Plan and stuff. I got my Xbox One X. I didn't go out to get it. I ordered it online, and I done it through Smiths. Like, you can just look, even if you don't order it now, because it might not be there, but it might be there. Just look up and see the cost, or they might just be on the Xbox site that shows you the pricing.
Yeah.
And stuff. So it might be worth doing that just to have a look. But I've done it.
Xbox. Just Google Xbox All Access, and all the information comes up for it. Basically.
There you are.
So, question is, will you get the S or the X? I would point out, after doing a little bit of research, as much as if on paper the S is significantly less powerful than the X, and
doesn't have this drive,
and this that, but they're actually aiming to do two different things. So the S So basically, the point is every game will run the same.
Every gun?
So the S, yeah, the
We're
S
not in
will
America,
do,
mate.
the S will do 120 frames in the exact same way the X will. It will do ray tracing. It's got the same hard drive in it. It's got the same processor, just slightly clocked at a slightly slower speed. It's got it's literally, in terms of performance, there is absolutely no difference in performance whatsoever. The only difference, and the reason why one's much more powerful than the other, is the S targets and is able to maintain 1440p. The X can do native 4K, and obviously the S will upscale to 4K. So apart from if you want native 4K or upscaled 4K, or you might just be playing on a 1440p monitor, there's absolutely no difference in performance. So actually, the two things you've got to consider is, do you want native 4K and a disk drive, or do you not care about the disk drive, save 250 quid, or, you know, don't actually save, you know, less a month, more a month, if you know what I mean. But you sacrifice the 4K and the disk drive.
The issue with the S and the X is any of the actual internal stuff different? Like, because while they might try and do the same, it might run the same now. A couple of years down the line, the S might struggle more than the X.
That is my theory. My theory is, I was discussing this with Lord Atton actually. I think for maybe the first, I think the Series S will look in the same way. Like, if you look at the current generation now with the One X and the Xbox One S and that, the original Xbox One, the big fat one, looks ancient now compared to the X, doesn't it? Compared to the One X, it looks absolutely ancient. And I think undoubtedly in about 4 years' time there will be a refresh, and it will be the Series X Pro HD plus 2 ZXY version, and that Series X, I think, will look as old as the original Xbox One does now, once the mid-generation refreshes come out. Do you know what I mean?
I hope there's not a
But-
mid-generation upgrade again. I can't be asked for that shit. If there is a mid-generation upgrade, in a way, I would rather just not bother and wait till then.
I think there'll be a mid-generation, but you've also got to consider, if you decide to do the pay monthly thing,
You'd be able to upgrade.
Yeah, you could literally spend £21 a month, get the Series S, see if you like it. After 18 months, they'll give you the option to just straight upgrade to the Series X, and you just pay the extra £7 a month on top of what you're already paying. So, and then you just restart that 2-year contract with a, you know. So it's almost, do you know, this is almost like a no-lose situation here. If you want to try the S, you can upgrade in 18 months.
Yeah.
If you just want to go straight to the X, you're not paying for the console up front. Do you know what I mean? There's so many different ways you could do it now. It's not just a case of
I do wonder if Sony will go down the route of what Microsoft have done, because they could have Klarna do the same thing, or another company do the same kind of thing.
Yeah,
probably wait
possibly
and
see it, because it's just worth doing. But for me, I have a Xbox One X that's on the Klarna program. When I'm able to, I'll see if I can upgrade to the X series and pay the difference every month. The PlayStation, I think it's £24 for the X.
Okay, so that's what you're paying now. You'd only pay the Series X is £28 a month, so you'd be paying £4 a month extra, whatever it is. Yeah.
The PlayStation 5 I also want to get, because I like the exclusives on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox, and and also I game share on the Xbox with my brother-in-law. So there.
Fair enough.
So it means like you do with Lord Atten, I do the same with my brother-in-law, because you know I want him. But with my PlayStation, I game share with my kid because he hasn't got an X. One of my kids have got an Xbox, but because I've been doing it, the game sharing with my brother-in-law since like before my child was born, I don't want to stop doing it, and it also means I'll miss out on a hell of a lot of games because he plays a lot more than me.
Yeah, fair enough.
What about you, Cora?
I have no idea. Is the honest answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's worth looking into that Xbox thing. I don't know if there's a PlayStation 5 equivalent, or if there's going to be. But for me, I will get both. It's just dependent on when I can afford it, because my priority is will be getting them for the kids first. Because
Fair enough.
I should. I don't want to, but I should.
See, I'm kind of like, we're in the boat of saving for a house deposit. So like unnecessary spending is bad, but at the same time, I really want one now. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah.
It's not too bad if it's smaller. If it's like you're already paying a certain amount for Ultimate a month, getting the paying for the Xbox. Like if you say to Mrs. it's not much more. It's only a couple of quid more. As long as she doesn't say how much specifically, then you're okay, which she likely will, because people like to know these things, especially women, who are the other halves of men,
true.
because men are very immature.
Sneaky and immature, a horrible, awful combination.
But you could easily enough like do that and then be sorted. It's just a lot better than going, oh look, Mrs. Cora, I want to go buy this. It's going to cost me 450 quid. It's like, I'll pay a bit. I'm paying for this already. I won't have to pay for that anymore. And I'll get the Xbox for the 10 or more a month. I think it would be a lot more.
What you could actually, what you could actually do is give her the price for the Series S, and she'd be like, so it's only a tenner more, and then get the X anyway. Get the X anyway, and if she goes, that's more than what I expected, you'd be like, yeah, but it's only a couple of pound more on top, and I thought I'd get the best. And then, do you know what I mean? You're cutting it up into pieces, and then it doesn't look so bad then. So
that sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah.
And then you hear about how Cora got divorced because of listening to advice from Doom.
Yep.
I wasn't being sexist, Graham. I was not being sexist. I criticised men as well. I said women will be more specifically watching men because men are childish. And
I think men are the bigger problem in this scenario.
Exactly. I completely agree. I was not being sexist. How dare you? I cannot be sexist against my own gender. Because I said men were the bad people. Is there any questions then before we end? Because neither of you said you had anything to talk about.
No, I'm pretty chilled out.
Yeah.
One question that was asked earlier that I will answer is no, Graham, there will never be a Super Princess Peach 2. Ever. Nintendo don't like Peach enough to give her her own games. Apart from that once, where they thought, fuck it, maybe we'll sell some consoles to girls who like princesses. And that's probably why they did it, even though I played Super Princess Peach myself. And it's actually a very good game.
I've never played it, is it?
It's really good. It's really good, and it's got quite a bit of variety with the way Peach plays.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Good probably game. Didn't sell, but you know,
no, it's definitely worth playing.
Picking it up at some stage.
That's cool.
They even like Gumberdane's saying Super Peach is a quality game. And Graham is saying it's the best game ever. He's exaggerating, obviously, but you know, because you know,
title.
It's hyperbole. Right. Is there any questions from the chat before we head off?
I'm all good, man. I'm not in the chat. What am I talking about?
it's very sexist. I don't remember any of that. I only played it like a little bit, like it's a little bit. I played it for a couple of hours and I enjoyed what I played of it. I don't remember it being sexist though, but it has been a long time.
There you go. Cricker's asking, is anyone getting the Atari VCS? I forgot about that. Is that even still a thing, or has it just kind of?
I've never heard it.
Have you not? So
Yeah.
Okay, super brief. Atari decided to make a new console, but the only way they decided to do it, they put it on Indiegogo, so it's a crowdfunded thing. They literally haven't said anything about it in terms of, it's not like a next gen console. It's essentially, from what people have gathered, it's a glorified Android box that plays games.
Sounds a bit rubbish to me.
And they're selling it for 350. Well, actually, no. There's a pro version and stuff. So I think 300 or 350 is the base model, and then you can pay 450 for the pro model, and it's got different storage space and all that. But essentially, it's a jumped up Android box with Atari's name on it. And like I said, they didn't even want to fund it themselves. They asked people to do it. It did actually reach funding. It was actually funded, but bearing in mind the console was meant to be out to the end of 2018, and barely anything has been said since. Says it all, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no from me.
Yeah. Just Google Atari VCS and you'll see all the lovely things. Literally, people on YouTube are like pulling it apart and like figuring out. And yeah, basically, it's a 1080p machine. It uses Linux as a operating system, so it uses a Linux base. So it's open source. So let's be fair, open source. You know what's going to happen there.
Someone forgot to put it on, and the lid, like the top, is all crusty.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, it's.
You said
well,
open source.
actually,
I was thinking tomato ketchup.
It's probably a better way to say it's a jumped up Raspberry Pi, basically,
I think
but for a
it's
lot more money.
Grum says, should I buy a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox? That is entirely up to you, Grum. Personally, I would say get both.
If you can
Get
afford
both,
both,
but if you have to choose, get an Xbox and hang out with me.
yeah.
The thing is if you can afford to buy one outright, get the PlayStation 5. And then if you want to pay for one monthly, get the Xbox, because you'll get 2 years of Game Pass Ultimate as well, and maybe other stuff. And the good thing, when you get Game Pass Ultimate, another thing you get is perks. Which, like I've had Discord Nitro twice. I've had 6 months of Discord Nitro. I've had like content for like cosmetic stuff and weapons and shit for Fantasy Star Online. So personally, I would say both. So there, that's my opinion. Get both.
Yeah.
When you can.
Yeah.
I never understood the whole console warrior thing where people like must only play one console or whatever.
Yeah,
I
mentioned it earlier as well. I said that the problem with the dawn of the upcoming releases of generations is it brings out those kind of console warriors who it becomes a very, very toxic environment, because the more the information that comes out about one console over the other, it's just arguments, and it's not nice. So I'll actually be glad when both consoles are out and they're just both of us selling well, and everybody can kind of go back to just playing games and not being stupid about it. But at the moment, yeah, Facebook and Twitter is rife with that. It's not nice.
Yeah, not for me. Not for me.
It only plays on the Soldier game. I forgot about that.
No, so the thing is, if you can only afford one console, then the best thing to do is look at what games are coming, what games like you can still play, what your friends are going to be getting. It could be another thing, because a lot of people like playing multiplayer game, and if they're not cross-platform, then you can have issues there. Like, say all your friends buy a fucking Xbox and you buy a PlayStation, but you want to play with your friends online, you're not going to be able to. So I think there's a lot of aspects you need to look at when you're going to only buy one. And the thing is if you can only buy one and then you can like pay monthly for one, or pay monthly for one, and once you finish, pay a monthly for one, pay monthly for the other. If you're able to afford the one, you'll be able to afford the other doing the same thing.
Yeah.
There's no reason to limit yourself by saying, well, I'm not willing to pay monthly, I'll just buy it outright. It's just you know, stopping yourself from playing games of consoles. You could do the same with PCs and stuff, really. You could like build a PC, have it built for you or somewhere, and then pay monthly for it, but it'd probably be a lot more cost monthly. But it's always worth looking into things, and especially if you are sticking to one console, then that is going to be a lot more difficult for someone to decide, like for yourself to decide on, unless you know exactly what you like. But because I like a big variety of games, even though like I'm not a massive open world fan, I'll still play them, I'll still get enjoyment of them. I just don't rate them as high as a more linear experience. So it's like I'm happy enough to play them all. I'd rather I don't like limiting myself and missing out on stuff, because fair enough, it's just not so much like other people be talking about something and I can't experience it. It's more that I like trying things, even like if I only play it and don't like it, at least I've fucking tried it.
Yeah.
Like Dark Souls,
fair enough.
shit, but I've still played Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Dark Souls 3, and Bloodborne. Apart from Dark Souls 2, I've given the rest of them a chance, and they all fucking suck. Bloodborne was the best of them all, though, because I like the faster pace, but it's still too slow. I much preferred playing Alice yesterday, which is nothing like Dark Souls, but it was fun slashing things, like the evil teapots that were shooting me.
I did enjoy it. I only got a little bit of that, but I did enjoy it.
I'm not going to try
not
Dark
much
Souls
to watch
2. I was just told by companies, don't try Dark Souls 2. I'm not going to. I've heard how bad it is from people who like the Dark Souls series, so it's fucking shit.
Is it genuinely poor?
I think Cumberdane said before that he didn't mind Dark Souls 2. He didn't think it was great, but he didn't mind Dark Souls 2. But he really, really dislikes Scholar of the First Sin, which is kind of changes things a little, but for the worse, according to Cumberdane's, I think.
Right.
But he may answer that himself.
I understand.
Right, I think that is us then, as I can't see any more questions.
I've got to head to bed now anyway, so it's a good time.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. I'll jump back on Perfect Dark briefly, and then.
Cricket said, I think people were smashing the consoles when Genshin, I think that's the pronounced, Impact was announced and looked like Breath of the Wild rip-off. Yeah, people were smashing the PlayStation 4s. Yeah, in China, I think. Someone did. It's like, what? No, continue on so Doom can fall asleep on stream again. Okay. Sorry, Doom, you're not allowed to go.
I like the fact that I haven't been here for probably about 6 months, and it's been probably coming up to about a year and a half, maybe getting close to 2 years since that happened. In fact, it will be about 2 years since that happened, and somehow I haven't been able to let go of it.
Right,
You'll
guys.
never be able to.
We're going to endure then a 2-year anniversary. Exactly. We're going to endure because we're going to raid Mafro. He's currently playing Bloodborne, so we will, if everyone is sticking around for a little bit, we will catch you over there. The raid message can be GRcade's Giant Fuzzy Pickle or something, and we will catch you there. I would like to thank both Doom and Cora for taking part tonight, because without them it probably wouldn't have it wouldn't have happened, and also it was a great catching up with you both over some game stuff that we don't normally talk about.
Yeah, man. Good to speak to you both.
It's been pleasure and emotional.
Well,
It has
it's
indeed.
emotional. I haven't shed a single tear yet.
I've shed multiple.
Well, while I spoke. Right, thank you very much, everyone. We will see you soon, and the next podcast, in theory, well, it will be in 2 weeks. Even if I have to do it on my own, I'm going to try and make sure it's fortnightly. So, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.